Good evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Community Updates and Enlightened Hearts. I'm your host, Michelle White, and Dr. Regina Hall is my co-host, and we are here tonight to talk about voting and voting rights and the importance of going out to vote. And this evening we have with us none other than Charles Thomas and Loretta Powell, and they're going to be talking. And we also have on Zoom or LinkedIn, we have Miss Alice, who was one of the people that marched on the Edmund Pettus Bridge with U.S. State Representative John Lewis. How awesome is that?
Yes.
That is an honor
Yes,
to be, to meet you even live. But before we get started, we like to give a few community updates. One of those being at Wayne County Community College District, we have the Michigan Philharmonic will be there at the Downriver campus in the Community Arts Performing Arts Hall on Saturday, December the 16th at 7:30 p.m. The event is free and open to the public. So if you like orchestrated music or not familiar with it, never been, want to expose some children to it, expose our youth, help our youth to be well-rounded, call 734-374-3200. Again, that's 734-374-3200, and get your free tickets today. If you're looking at attending college at any time, registration is now at every college for January. People ask me all the time, when is registration? It actually started over a month ago for classes that will start in January. So get out and register for classes. But again, we thank you for tuning in right here to Community Updates and Enlightened Hearts on Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. And you can always catch us on Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and all streaming platforms. And please give us a call right here at 313-355-6018. So as we're talking tonight, we want you. Someone asked, do you want me to give you some feedback? All the time. Please call. I've had 2 people ask me that this week. Hello. Please give your feedback. Well, I'm going to text you. Don't text me. Send it to YouTube. Type it on there. Type it on the Facebook pages, wherever you're watching us from, because we will have that up as well, so that I can look at your comments and discuss them or know how know what your point is.
Yes.
Because we want it's not a matter, this is a talk show, so we can talk about various things together.
Yes.
We're a community.
Yes, we are.
And we have to talk about things. Maybe you don't feel the way someone is feeling this online, then talk about it. Maybe you need help. Dr. Regina is here as a licensed therapist because she's here to talk to you. If you have some challenges and things that you're going through or not certain how to get it straight in your head, you got a licensed doctor therapist. This is what she does all day long. Yeah. It counsels with people. So you've got her right here. Take advantage of that while it's free. And then you can see her for appointments if you want to sign up later. But I'm saying that's a service that she's providing, and that's a blessing.
Yes, it is.
So please call in. You don't have to say your name. Just talk about what's going on with you. Again, you can reach us right here at the station during the time that we're on at 313-355-6018. Dr. Regina, do you have any community updates that you wanted to share?
Well, with the festivities of Christmas coming up, there's a lot of depression and anxiety going on. And I wanted to just provide some steps in overcoming Christmas depression and anxiety. Because it can be very time where people are celebrating and feeling good. But there are people who are not celebrating and feeling good. They have lost loved ones, or they have had a loss of a job, whatever has come about, and they're not feeling so festive at this moment. And so what I want to encourage you to do is, step 1 is to acknowledge your feelings. Don't stuff them down. Acknowledge where you are and what you're dealing with. The other thing I would encourage you to do is to reach out to a support or support system. Find those ones who want to hear what you have to say, who don't mind your voice and give you less advice. One of the things that people need is less advice and more listening. How about that?
Yes.
The other thing I want to tell you is set realistic expectations. If you go to an outing and you really don't feel like being there and you're trying to honor a friend or a family member, think about a boundary that you can put in place. Say to yourself, how long can I stay here without feeling overwhelmed? Or if you know that this is a family member or members where there's some chaos, don't fool yourself. During this time, there is chaos going on with families. What I encourage you to do is set a time limit for yourself. Leave when you know you've had enough. Set it. Tell a friend to call you or something of that nature, and leave wherever you are, particularly when you know you're not feeling well there. Another one is to create new traditions. That's awesome. When you lose a loved one or something is going on, a loss of a job, create new traditions. And you don't always need money. That means that you can go and volunteer. And we're going to be talking later on to our guests. You can volunteer with them as well.
That's right.
So you can create your own traditions, and it doesn't have to cost money. And what I have learned, the more you pour into others, the more you pour into yourself.
Yes.
And then the last one I'm going to say is practice self-care. Now, setting a boundary is self-care. New tradition is self-care. But you may want to do a massage. You may want to go to church. You may want to visit a nursing home. Practice self-care. Love on you during this time when you're not feeling all the love. That's all I wanted to say. This has been Dr. Regina Hall.
Thank you, Dr. Regina Hall. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
That was some good advice because
Yes.
there's so many people single people, depressed during the holiday. Somebody said they were depressed yesterday. People on drugs.
Yes.
People isolated still from COVID, haven't
Yes,
really
they are.
come out
Yes.
the house.
Mhm.
So,
That's true.
yep. So
Yeah.
you just gave some very good points.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Regina.
Yes, yes.
So, we're going to get right into what we're talking about. I do have another community update, but I didn't write it down, and right now I can't remember what it is. So, I might get it in there later. But let's read it. You want to do Miss Loretta, and I'll do Mr. Charles.
That's fine.
Bios?
Yep,
Okay.
that's fine.
And Miss Alice, we'll let you just talk. Are you there? Can you say hello to us, Miss Alice?
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
We're going to let you
Hello.
tell us a little bit about yourself just as you're going.
Okay.
So Charles is a veteran. Charles Thomas Jr. is a veteran of the U.S. Army, serving for many years, retired from the post office, and he focuses his life right now on community service and voting. He's been involved in counseling, psychology. He's the author of 2 books, and he's an entrepreneur owner of a garment messaging business. Now, what is a garment messaging business? IGM Gear. But he'll tell us about that later. Okay, just a little bit. So he speaks to the repurposing of hate, and he is had engaged with the 501c3 called People of Purpose Ministries, which he founded, that focuses on missionary work in collaboration with the Detroit Department of Recreation, aiding families along the Detroit and Hamtramck border. Charles is engaged in community activism work, specifically in the area of voter engagement, collaboration with like-minded organizations, including, he's got several different organizations that he's connected with, and he is the founder of the voter turnout organization, When You Vote, I Win. And if those of you building upon the legacy of the work in 1965 by his 2 Selma foot soldier aunts, one of whom is on our line right now,
Yeah.
Miss Alice. And she's going to tell us a little bit more. But you want to share a little bit about Miss Loretta?
Yes. Miss Loretta Powell. She's the owner of a Little Detroit Community Garden nonprofit organization. She's also a pre-K para-educator for Detroit Public School Community District. She has volunteered in the nursery ministry for 16 years at the Fountain of Truth Christian Center with Bishop Michael Jones and Pastor Brenda Jones. Actually, she met Mr. Thomas as a latchkey recreation at the Latchkey Recreation Center in 2018 at her second job. Mr. Thomas asked her children to write a paper for Black History Month in 2021, and her granddaughter, Jayla, Jayla wrote a paper about me when I spoke at Eastside Community Network for Governor Whitmer when she signed a bill in December 2019 to decrease poverty in the state of Michigan, and she won. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
My granddaughter won.
Yes. Then in April 2021, Mr. Thomas asked to join his team to let the community know that their vote do count. I'm really excited about talking about the vote counting. In May of 2021, in Historical People's Community Church, when you vote, I win event was established, and she talked about how she worked 2 jobs to sustain her household after the passing of her husband. She has done several rallies that she has participated in. She just had one at East English Village High School this year, and it was a school you graduated
Yes,
from.
I was very excited about going. I took off work that day.
Okay, and it was an honor to be a part of such a great team. So doing great work and
Yes,
working
thank
with our
you.
children, that is wonderful.
Yes.
Yes.
So, Miss Alice, we want you to tell us a little bit. I would love to hear a little bit of the history of your experience walking on the Pettus Bridge, meeting and being involved with SNCC and John Lewis, and just that whole time frame in 1965. Enlighten us just a little bit on. We see clippings. I mean, we were around, but we were little.
Yeah.
You know, so we weren't paying attention. We were trying to play flapjacks and jump rope. What do you call the jacks? But jacks. So can you enlighten us a little bit? Tell us a little bit. We don't want to look there.
Oh, all right.
Okay. Yeah, I tried to talk. I still have the echo, and I'll do the best I can to talk over the echo. I guess you're not hearing it.
Nope, you're good.
Okay.
We can hear you.
All right. I was in Alabama, and I started in with SNCC when I was 15. And we went on over until I was 16 when everything started happening. For the first year that we got into it, that me and my sister, she was 14 and I was 16. And we signed up for a mass meeting when John Lewis came to town soliciting for students. And we were not old enough to vote. So the reason we joined, we wanted our parents to vote.
Okay.
And that's what John Lewis thought would matter if the students got out and protest and march and have this meeting for our parents because we were young, energetic, and not afraid of anything back then. So we were ready. So that's how we got involved. And there's so much that happened. Everybody think about busy Sunday, but I always say there was so much that happened before Bloody Sunday. Dr. Virginia, we used back here in 1965. We were traumatized and didn't know it until later. But the beatings, the jailing, the prison camps led to the marches. And the first one that we attempted, it was Bloody Sunday. But we had a traumatic experience staying into a prison camp for 4 days where nobody knew where we were. And like I said, not afraid of anything. It was just all students there. No adults. No adults knowing who we were.
Wow.
And students there that didn't know each other. And we got out of that situation and we decided to go on. So we participated in Bloody Sunday, where we were beaten, tear gas, men on horseback. It was just devastating. Something I never dreamed would happen. But we made it through there. And I told the story how angry I got when I got so much tear gas. And I had run down by the riverside and lay there until I regained my sight. And I was crying. I had lost my sister, didn't know where she was, and I was just angry. And at that moment, I decided that I was going to do more at scenes. And we were there for the turnaround Tuesday. And we were there later on that month for the march. Went all the way from Selma to Montgomery. And there was only 300 people selected to do the full walk. My sister and I was two of those 300 that walked all the way from Selma, camping out into Montgomery.
Awesome. Wow. You know, it's just, you can ask some of your relatives to tell you the history of certain things, and generally what I found is that people don't want to talk about it. You know, they don't want to talk about lynchings and things that happened in the 40s, 30s, 50s, 60s. They don't want to talk about it. So I'm thankful. Let me just say thank you for being willing to talk about it. And I know that it was traumatic. All we see is the clippings, you know, the news reels, but you were there.
And it's not unusual that nobody wants to talk about it because I did not talk about experience for all 50 years afterwards. I just started talking about myself. I had not said brilliant since Bloody Sunday until a few years ago, walking.
Yeah.
So
I want to thank you too, because it's really just shows how courageous and resilient your sister and you were, and all the people, all the students that were there going through that for us. And I think that's the story that's missed, us telling it over and over and over at our kitchen tables, which we don't gather anymore around kitchen tables. No. Making sure that these stories are told in schools, because it would be planted on the kids' hearts. Right. And no matter how many books you try to take from us, you can't take what's been planted.
Right. That's right.
That's it.
That's right. I like that. You can't take what's been planted.
You can't take what's been planted.
That's right.
You know.
So I love something that I heard you say on a clipping that we've posted and that maybe people have listened to, that you shared how young people today don't understand why it's so important to vote. Older people don't understand the importance of voting and think that their vote doesn't count, so why should I vote anyway? Let's talk about that.
I think.
Oh, go ahead.
My sister that portion on the clip. And very strongly try to speak to the kids that they don't know what I'm telling you, and they don't understand. They don't really know why vote does not why they think it does not count. And it's so important for us to get across to them. It does count. If you don't vote. You don't you don't have a chance. You might have 50 people, but you need to exercise your right. to vote.
And look at all the changes that have happened because we've gotten out and voted.
Yeah.
Things are not the same because we've gotten out and taken
It made a
stances and
difference.
voted. It makes a difference.
It
And so
made
it
a
makes a difference for the next 50 years.
Yes.
Just like
yes.
it made a difference for this 50 years.
Yes,
So
yes.
we're glad that I love these T-shirts that you all have on. Tell us what that says. Change
happens when you show up.
Change happens when you show up.
Yeah,
I want a
like
T-shirt, by the way.
I'm gonna have to come up with 2.
Okay, 2. That's right.
right.
And then at the bottom, and they have a picture of Lyndon B. Johnson and Martin Luther King, when the Voting Act was being signed. And then at the bottom it says, "When you vote, I win."
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the organization, some of the things that you all are doing. You just had a big event maybe a week or 2 ago.
Yeah, we've had
Several.
events.
Okay.
And I want to say, going back to something that my Aunt Alice said. Well, first, she is.
You come from good stock.
I do.
That's right.
I have a lot
That's
to live up
important.
to.
That's right.
She and Aunt Denise are 2 of my father's younger sisters, and he was the oldest of 15.
Wow.
And they, I tell people all the time that I am only 2 generations away from a sharecropper, and so
Me too.
Their father, and I only bring it up because what we try to get across to the young people is that this wasn't 1,000 years ago. You know, you think it's even these black and white reels.
I went and picked some cotton where my grandmother picked cotton at in Mississippi.
Right. Yeah.
2 generations away
Yes.
from, and they were sharecroppers.
Yes. 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 And
Now I was picking it as a novelty, but as a little girl, she had to get down, and that stuff is prickly.
My mom did cotton.
My
It's
mom-
prickly. It's like a
Yeah.
rose bush, and
Yes.
it'll make your fingers bleed.
Yeah, and that is part of why we did what we do when it comes to the organization. When you vote, I win. As Aunt Alice said, they never talked about it. I didn't know, and it just so happens that when COVID came, we started doing family reunions by Zoom.
Okay.
These stories, these exchanges between herself and my Aunt Denise, and you know, I said these stories need to be shared. As,
Yes.
Dr. Regina has said because we don't know. We're sitting across from people and we don't even know their stories because they've been traumatized. But anyway, when it comes to the organization, When You Vote, I Win, it is something that is founded on the same space that my aunts did their work. The space that starts off by saying that I count, I matter as much as you do, and it's a demand space. And so when we talk about When You Vote, I Win, that language was chosen to be agitational intentionally, to let it be known to others who are voting that it's okay for us to be upset, even angry, when other people don't vote, because their refusal to participate in participate in the process is costly to me personally. And we need to become comfortable with saying that, because what's more personal is going to elicit more passion. And so we're trying to elicit the passion that goes along with the voting conversation, and we are trying to let people know that it's okay to talk about your frustrations when it comes to how much it costs you when other people refuse to participate in the process. And then, you know, we're rolling that back into the conversation of how much it costs to be able to have that right to vote in the first place.
I love how you have both of your aunts involved. Growing up, my dad and my mom really helped us to connect with the older community, with the elderly. I find that that's absent in
It absolutely
it,
is.
and that's really unfortunate. And I'm wondering, you have your 2 aunts involved. I was watching, it's a documentary that come on. The name come back to me. I think it was like Hogs, something about hogs. But the whole purpose of it is to show what Black people have gone through through food.
Okay.
And I'm gonna bring some more information about it. But this particular doctor is a female, Black, African American. She goes around to the various states, and connect us to culture through food.
I saw that. It's on Netflix or something.
Yes,
yeah.
it's on Netflix. It's called
It's a series.
something, right?
Yes.
And I started watching it, and what was so powerful is the stories that they're telling. And so the stories are important. Matter of fact, they're so important that that's what the Bible say, to keep telling the story.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so how are you getting others? Like I see you got Miss Powell involved.
And I'll say it's the story part, and one of the things that is happening, and again we talk about things that happen intentionally, is this disconnecting us from our stories.
Yes.
And you know you listen to all of the stuff that when it comes to you know books being eliminated and things of that nature. And so we believe in the stories. And that's even how Miss Powell became involved. She was, when we first started, she was one of our storytellers, and she would come and tell her experience. And I'll let her tell it, but it was because it was related to something that was on the ballot at the time when it came to minimum wage, which again, these are life issues that deal with voting. But that's how Miss Powell became involved.
That's wonderful. And I wasn't calling you elderly because I know we're not that far from age. I was just saying you involved.
No.
But you're not elderly. Okay, I just wanted to make that clear.
Sometimes I call myself a senior normal.
Well, yeah, I understand.
Okay,
So
we
I
all
just want to do
seniors, y'all,
a.
while y'all playing.
I'm not a senior.
Whatever.
Okay. All right.
You just a good looking senior.
That's
I want to label myself a
That's
senior.
right.
That's right. All right. So here's a station ID. You're watching Community Updates and Enlightened Hearts live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Please like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world.
And please give us a call. We want to hear from you. If you got an opportunity right now to talk to somebody who was on the Edmund Pettus Bridge.
I know.
Call in and ask a question. Call in and make a comment. Maybe you have some history with tell us some of your black history if you're listening in right now, or just
So
doesn't have to be
important.
black history, because white people, Jews, everybody was involved and
That's
around
right.
in that area.
That's right.
And we wouldn't have accomplished what we accomplished if it had not been for the cultural diversity that was happening between the blacks, Jews, and Caucasians.
That's right.
So we have
Absolutely.
to, consider
right.
that. So Miss Miss Alice, what was it like being in an organization working with John Lewis? Wow. Can you tell?
Well, I tell everybody back in that day, we were so young. It didn't really affect us, or we weren't really, overwhelmed. He taught us how to be nonviolent. He's the one that worked with us at mass meetings to make sure that we were nonviolent. And like I said, it didn't hit us about John Lewis until later in life. We became adults, and all we knew that there was like we were teenagers. I was 16, and almost everybody was 16 or younger that were there, and he was in his 20s. So he was an adult, and we were children. So it was just wonderful the way he worked with us as children to get the children to do what he wanted us to do. And that's to be a nonviolent, it was the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. He created that, and he taught us how to do that. And that's what we were. You found more girls in the organization maybe than boys when it first started, because boys would not stand up and take a beating and not fight back. So that's why there were less around. My father
said snap, snap. Because now the women won't either. Snap, snap.
Well, we were taught to do that, and we were obedient in doing that. But I have some friends right here today that said, like on Bloody Sunday, they had to turn around and go back, and they didn't come back because they were not going to, they could not endure the beating from the people on horseback and the tear gas. They could not take it. But working with him and what he brought to us and explained to us everything that was going to happen. He was at the front of the line every time. And, he took bad
Yes,
beatings. Also,
yeah.
he did not go in the background of what he was telling us to do. He was on the forefront,
Front line.
and he got it before we did,
They
So
said he almost
I,
died from his beating.
yeah, he got a real bad beating on Bloody Sunday.
Yes.
And like before he came there, he had been doing other work in other areas, and things had happened to him then. But I think when he came to Selma, that was the highlight of his
Career.
career there when he took on that SNCC organization. But it was amazing working with him, and it was amazing, better yet, after growing up and realizing what we had done and realized how dangerous it was. We marched down that highway with the military police protecting us alongside the highway, and they spat at us as we walked by. That was our protection.
Wow.
Wow.
That was our
Wait a minute,
protection.
you said the police were spitting at you?
Yes, the
The
MPs, the
people that were
military
supposed to
police.
protect you were spitting at you?
military.
The military.
Yeah,
Police.
yeah, not all of them, but
Some of them.
as they stood at attention, they never moved. But when you passed some of them, they would purposely spit
Mm,
at your feet.
mm.
So that was our protection in those camps alongside the highway, on those farms, on bales of hay, sometime in tents. That was our protection for those nights we had to sleep on Highway 80 on our way to Montgomery.
I think it's
But
amazing that your parents allowed it. Your mom, allowed all of you to be on the battlefield like that at such a young age. Because I can imagine that it was difficult for them to release you to that type of violence because they had to know it was going to be violent. Tell me more about that. Like, how did the parents release their kids to this?
it was very violent and very my mother was the one that took us to every mass meeting and picked us up, took us to every demonstration and picked us up. I said earlier in the conversation that my dad didn't come near because he was one of those males that could not
Okay.
take the beating. And my mother was just a sweet soul. She was just a sweet soul. They knew what we wanted to do, and they knew we were fighting for them. My father wanted to vote so bad, and we just got so tired of seeing him humiliated. Every time he went to vote and came back, and he didn't pass for whatever test they
I
put
was
him
gonna
through.
say
He
there were a
didn't
lot
pass.
of tests that they would say, "Oh, you didn't pass this, or you didn't pass."
Right. You didn't name every county in Georgia. You in Alabama. You didn't. You don't. You can't count all the beans in the jelly beans in the jar. You went to the wrong place to do this. It was something all the time. So when we did that march, and in August after that march, and the voters' rights was signed, that was the best day of my life to see
Hmm.
him so happy.
Yeah.
They all in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
They had pickup trucks. They put chairs on the back of the pickup truck. They drove everybody to the poll to
And
vote.
that's what we still
Everybody
need
went
to be
to
doing
vote.
today.
I think,
Yeah, we have all things much better, more opportunities, and we
Oh,
won't go to the poll.
definitely. And let me say thank you again because
Yes.
it's because of young people like yourself that allowed us, now we can vote. Now we can see. I can kind of remember the Kresge lunch counter downtown Detroit where you couldn't really sit at the
You
lunch
couldn't.
counter, and it was just changing over when I was a little girl, and but it was still scary. And this is the
Yeah,
north,
uh,
not the south.
right.
yeah.
And that's what my sister was saying on the to the young people in Detroit. We had to go to water fountains that said colored and bathrooms that said colored. We couldn't go in the restaurant. We went to buy a hamburger from the window where it said where the coloreds go. We couldn't go inside. And we, for a long time, did not think anything of that until John Lewis came along, and we just thought it was strange in the beginning anyway, but we had never done anything different. So we didn't go to Windows anymore. We put a lot of things out of business during that time.
And still,
We didn't go to the Windows for the hamburgers.
and still can if we
right.
can stand up,
Yes,
because the
that's
amount of
right.
money African Americans spend
Spin.
still can do it. Mr.
You had
Thomas,
something
you
you
wanted to
wanted to
say
say.
something.
Yeah, and it's something that I shared when we went to Grand Rapids. We went to a church there and did what we call an afternoon with two original foot soldiers, where my aunts came into town. But something that I shared there was that as a culture that doesn't vote right now in such large numbers, one of the things that we don't know is the humiliation. There's a big difference between being able to say I won't vote and being told you can't vote. You
Big
see, there's that humiliation that we don't know at this stage, and I just think that, again, we talk about the stories and we're so far removed from them. If we could just feel the humiliation that my grandfather had to go through, the indignity. I mean, you're being treated as a subhuman even, because you are not on the same level as everybody else around you. And I think that to some degree, whether it's we believe we've arrived at a level or whatever the case may be, we don't ever want to know that indignity and
That's right.
that humiliation of when somebody tells you you can't do something.
Well, if we keep it up, we're
Hello.
going right back
Yes,
to
we
it.
are.
Way back.
You know, and it's really sad what's happening. I heard the other day, it was about voting, and Trump was putting this out. And he said, you need to watch the votes in Detroit, in Atlanta, in Chicago, all
Absolutely.
the areas
Yes.
where we are.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
it's the same.
Yes.
It's the same message.
Absolutely.
And so I was telling Michelle earlier today about cancel culture. And that's something that you hear a lot in basically in the evangelical churches. You hear about cancel culture, and and what cancel culture is. And I want to read the definition, if you guys don't mind, because I think it's important for us to hear these things and understand them. What it says, it's a phenomenon or practice of publicly rejecting, boycotting, or ending support for a particular people or groups because of their socially or morally unacceptable views or actions. And so this is them saying that almost like you're trying to counsel the church. You're counseling Christ. You're counseling. No one has come up to me and said they want to counsel my Christianity, I must admit. But I have been going through lately about counseling me as a black woman, counseling me as a voter, counseling the books that are in the schools and everything.
Yes.
And what we call that, I just want to give you another definition that I think is really important.
All right.
It's called accusation in a mirror. It's a false claim that accuses the target of something that the perpetrator is doing or intends to do.
Right.
That is called accusation in a mirror. You're accusing me of actually what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yes.
I think there's a lot of that going
And a
around.
lot of that
You're
going
accusing
around.
me
Yeah,
of what
accusing
you're
me of
doing.
what you're doing.
Yes.
Right.
As a group, as an organization, with these mom liberal groups who are going around checking books, saying that if it mentioned race, you want to cancel it.
Absolutely.
Please, you are the cancel culture.
And that is the
Yes.
history in those stories that we're talking about.
And we
That
need
they
to
want-
tell them.
And we have to. We have
So
to.
how are you all getting, two things I want to ask you about the name, how you chose the name of the organization,
Okay.
and then how are you,
Yes.
I know you're going into high schools and
Absolutely.
things, and how are you getting people to understand, because a lot of times people don't vote because they don't understand the
Yes.
candidates.
Yes.
Yes.
And I have a friend of mine that I've been trying to get for a while who really checks up on every candidate on the ballot. I'm like, if you just tell me about what you know, the points on this person, I'll type it up.
Right.
Because that's part of the problem.
Right.
Absolutely.
Nobody's
Yeah.
checking on all these candidates
Right.
and really
Right.
doing any research. We just name
Yes.
recognition is huge, and
Right.
and we just pick who your friend picked. And,
Yes, that's
you know,
true.
there are reasons, especially within certain cultures.
Yes.
Right.
We
Well,
aren't
Candy,
doing
and
history.
you're right about that. You're so right. I think the thing is, though, maybe we need to stop the messaging of you need to vote, and maybe say, that judge that's out there in Oakland County, that judge has voted to put you in jail. People who
Oh,
look
right.
like you,
Oh, right,
over
right.
and over
Yes.
and over. How do
Yes.
you think we can get that person out? I think we're gonna have to start going that route. Because I'm serious.
Yeah,
I think we're gonna have to
right.
start
That's
going that
right.
route.
You're right.
Oh, you
So
know
they
that
understand better.
legislator that's up there.
Yes.
He has voted against you X amount of times, and he don't want your color in. And then people say, "Well, why are you talking about color so much?" It matters.
Yes.
It matters.
Yes.
But
Yes.
that's
Yes.
those points, whatever they may be, good or bad, about the individual candidates,
That's right.
needs to be shared in a
It needs
mass
to be
number
shared in
so
a
that
mass
people
number.
can be more intelligent voters,
And astute about it.
astute about it.
Do
So
you
how
know-
are you all doing that? I'm sorry.
No,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. No.
How are you all? I know you're going into high schools.
I could talk.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
I'll
please.
just
Well,
be
both
right
of you
off what
interject.
say.
And
Yes.
and callers, don't forget to call in, ask a question. People are listening. People come up to me and say, "Hey, I watched your show. Can you call in?"
That's right. Call in.
Oh, that was a good show. You're doing a good job. Can you please call?
That's right.
313-355-6018. Call me.
Yes, right. Call me. Yes, Miss Powell. So, Mr. Thomas alluded to your story. Why don't you tell us about
Yes.
your story?
Well, Mr. Thomas asked me to tell my story
Yes.
so we can have people to let them know how important it is to vote.
Yes.
So my husband, he unexpectedly passed away in 2012.
Oh, our condolences.
And when
Yeah.
you unexpectedly have some, your household income changes.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly for the woman.
Yes, you lose your household income.
Sure.
So I needed to get a second job to sustain my household. And really, one job to sustain your household. So it is important to vote for better wages.
Mhm.
All right.
For
All right.
everybody.
Right,
Better
right,
wages was
right.
on the ballot. So
Absolutely.
that's why Mr. Thomas had me to
Better
tell my
wages,
story.
and we need these
Yes.
just inflation,
Yes.
groceries,
Yes.
gas,
Well, just to give you
bills.
some insight,
Lord Jesus.
eggs have gone down and gas is going down. Isn't that
yeah.
something?
Yeah, that's good.
So
That's
I just
good.
want to give a snap.
Snap,
for
I'm
that.
so glad it's gone down.
Yeah.
We have a caller. Come on, caller. Welcome, caller. Lord Jesus.
Oh, I think because this time.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's because Miss Moore's on
Yeah.
the show.
Yeah.
So, caller, unfortunately, I forgot because Miss Alice is on. You're going to need to put your question or comments in the comment section. You can go to my Facebook page, Michelle Turner White. You can go to Wjzz Cool TV Facebook page. You can go to Dr. Regina Hall's page. But
Yeah.
because we have a caller on the line, we're not able at this time to have
Right,
both.
yeah, to have both.
So that's my fault because I kept giving you the number. But please text in your comment.
Yes.
But go ahead and finish telling us your story,
Miss Powell.
Ms. Powell.
So, and after then, we just had different rallies that we go to with China Park and talk about how important it is to vote. We went to Parkside on Connors, Parkside apartments to let people know how important it is to vote because their vote do matters. And most of them don't know that.
Right.
But when I was a little girl, my father always went to vote. So I always voted because we was born down in Tennessee. So we
Okay.
seen those signs. We know what happened between
Yes,
the blacks
yes.
and the whites and how we was treated. Even when we was down south, he would hurry up and have us to go to the restroom and jump back in the car when we traveled back and forth.
That's
and then
so
he would go
sad.
to the car. Yes.
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 was.
It was very
Yes.
sad.
And when you packed your own foods because you didn't trust nobody with your
That's
foods.
it.
Right. So
Yes.
I experienced some of that. And I was just like, back in 1967 we came up here and moved from Tennessee. But yes, I am a very strong person about voting,
Yes.
educating, and letting people know the struggles we've been through.
I love what you said. My mom and dad used to take us to the polls,
Yes,
and then you know that little sticker they give you.
Yes.
They would place it on us.
yes.
I still do that today.
Yeah, and I did that.
I vote. I'm a poll worker.
Okay,
So I
yeah.
give all the little kids a voting sticker. I
Yes,
took my take my grandchildren when I've had
Yes.
opportunity.
I took my daughter, and I mean, just and she's a voter.
Yes.
It matters.
Yes, it does
So
matter.
why is the misconception that makes people think? What is the that makes people think the misconception that my vote doesn't count?
Yeah.
Because they don't really know the struggles. They don't know the history.
Well, the thing is, if they don't vote, it's going to count for somebody. If they don't vote at all, it's going to
true.
count for somebody. So by
Say
you not
if
voting,
Don't vote. It's still counting, but it's counting for somebody.
right? And if you don't vote, it's still counting because it's counting you out. It's not in the count at all. So,
Right.
your vote counts.
Yes.
I think that's the problem, Miss Moore.
Mhm.
Miss Moore, that what happens is that we buy into these lies
Absolutely.
that our
Absolutely.
vote doesn't count,
Mhm.
but we're not taking a deeper look at how many of us are in prisons, and the reason why we in those prisons because we have not actively understood who the judges are.
Right. Right.
I mean, when you really think about that,
Mhm.
Yes.
who are these judges? Let me tell you something. I do have to thank Mr. Trump for something. He woke me up. When you talk about woke,
Oh, yes.
okay, I was
Okay.
really woke.
Now I must say
just
that
wanna
we have a lot of listeners that are Trump
Yes, that's
supporters.
true. That's good. And may they hear the story. I think that's excellent. Okay? I think that's excellent.
I'm just looking at one of your comments on there. The
Looking at one now too. Go ahead.
Miss Felicia says, I check as much as I can
Mhm.
on them, but I don't vote for people I don't know. And I'm wondering who does she just let somebody win? Does she get to know them? Does she do anything to find out? I don't know everybody. We had 2 people on the ballot for the public school district in my district. I didn't know either one of them. I don't have anybody. I don't have any
In the
children
school system,
in
right?
school.
That's
Well,
right.
I went to somebody else who did and tried to get some information from them about those 2 people. And it ended up with those 2 people running. One of them was in the runoff. And I just went back to the poll, and we don't do that either. We go back for the runoff. You don't just sit down and let it just work itself out. And if you don't know somebody and you don't know, you're not going to know everybody. But you need to go to somebody who might know or read. I read a little bit about them and try to pull up what they've done. And everybody have a story. And sometimes you just got to take a chance on voting for the best or what you think is the best, and not just not vote for anybody that you don't know.
Yes, I think that's important now
He has
because
a question comment. Go ahead.
democracy is on the line, isn't it?
It
Let's just talk about
absolutely
it.
Yes, yes.
And I just want to interject a narrative of America. And something I try to get across to our young people. America has always understood that the vote counts, that it matters. And that's why when it was first instituted, only certain people could vote. They've always understood the power of the vote. And so what we have to do is understand that there's a reason why you don't want me to vote. You understand that there's a power attached to it. And so we have to become knowledgeable voters as well. One of the things that I do is I direct people to a website that the League of Women Voters puts out. It's called
Yes.
Vote For